Hi, it's Ariana Newcomer, and it's Wisdom Wednesdays. I am a Dove Oracle priestess and a coach and mentor, especially for women who are closet visionaries and closet change makers who really are on fire to make a difference in these times and who realize it's time for them to claim your wisdom and find your true voice so that you can joyfully express your divine purpose. And today I'm going to talk about fear of expressing ourselves. And this is a core theme that runs through my work because of my own experiences. And it's a core issue for most of the people that I work with. And some of them are men too. But I had a session with a client. Let's see, this was on Monday. And she had this realization that, and I'm going to read you what she said, my life depends on my being able to express myself. And she didn't mean in the context of being able to shout and say no or, to claim her personal space. She meant in the larger context of what her whole life is about, what her life trajectory is. And she's bringing new work into being. And it's incredibly important for her to be able to actually speak about this work that she's doing, to have her voice in writing as well as in actually vocally speaking. And she realized that in her childhood, she was really taught that what her heart has to say is not important, that feelings were not important. So she said, a lot that comes up that sits between my heart and my jaw and doesn't make it out. How many of you have had that experience? I know I have quite a lot in my life. It's such an interesting issue, and we really do hold our voices back out of fear. But then once we begin doing that, and often we start doing that in childhood or in our teen years or after some kind of traumatic event, it becomes a habit. And then we don't realize that we're doing it. And one of my members in the Wise Women Immersion, I was working with a couple of weeks ago on voice coaching, and she was doing a practice which I do with many clients, which is reading out loud from a children's book, because that's just a great way to play with our voices and let ourselves expand our expression without having to be afraid about how it sounds and when it's coming out. So she used to, read to kids all the time and thought she had, used quite a bit of expression. And as I was working with her, she realized, wow, I still am really, really holding my voice back in so many ways. And she had grown up with a mother who was really hypercritical and really, tried to keep her small in order to keep her safe. Now, our moms do these things and our dads do these things not deliberately to hurt us for the most part, but because they're doing what they were taught or what they believe is going to be helpful for us. And yet those things can cause wounds that we then carry that really hold us back in life. And one of the great ways to move beyond those wounds is to open up our voices and open up our expression. Now, my Monday client also was telling me a story about a friend of hers that she had done some traveling with in the past. And there had been some issues, and this friend had approached her about going on a trip again. And she actually said no this time and told her friend why, even though she knew that this would likely be hurtful. And now she's worried that she doesn't know if the relationship will heal because I talked. So that's one of the ways that we're afraid. We're afraid to hurt others if we actually say what's true for us. And yet, in this case, it was incredibly important for her to stand for herself and not go on a trip and put herself into a situation where she wasn't comfortable and it wasn't for her highest good to do that. And we do need to have these conversations. So how do we have the conversation? I was coaching her on what she could potentially say as she gets back into conversation with this friend, so that they can actually deepen the friendship instead of having it just fracture and go away because she talked, because she was authentic, because she was honest about some issues that were going on for her. Because when we hide those things, when we don't say those things because we want to be nice, because we want to be caring, because we don't want to hurt someone, we end up causing a fracture in that relationship anyway, because then there's this fundamental inauthenticity there. Yeah. And, it actually can damage us. Like this client who says, my life depends on being able to express myself. For her to actually joyfully express her divine purpose, bring her new work into being, she has to lose all these habits of shutting her voice down in order to be careful about, she would always, think so carefully about how she was going to say something so that it could be received in a way that wouldn't make other people upset or angry. And so then these fundamental aspects of herself were being lost and denied and stuffed down in the process. And I know from my own experience in living in a toxic marriage for many years and losing my voice, partly because of acid reflux, that when we hold our voices back, it can make us sick. And it can, I put in the description of this that it's slowly killing us. So for my client who realized my life depends on being able to express myself, and then for myself, I had to get out of that toxic relationship in order to heal my own voice. And so in Chinese medicine, my acupuncturist told me at the time that when we swallow things that really need to be expressed, then they go into the stomach, and then the liver pushes back, which is, liver is the organ of anger that holds anger in Chinese medical thinking, and it pushes back against the stomach, and that's what causes the reflux. So the things that we swallowed, the words that we swallowed, the emotions that we swallowed, go down into the stomach, and the liver says, you need to get that out, and it comes back up as this acid reflux, that was actually a really helpful idea for me. And the thing that healed my acid reflux finally wasn't medications, but homeopathy. So if you're dealing with that, you might want to look into homeopathy, because those acid suppressing medications actually prevent us from really digesting proteins, for one thing. And then the acid in the stomach is also part of our immune system defense against things that we take in that might be disease causing. So something to think about. I also wanted to say, I have a friend, Serena Andrea, who is also passionate about helping women be able to fully express themselves through their stories on stage. And she runs something called the Universe Monologues, and these are coming up, the performances are coming up in Oakland and Santa Cruz. And she had posted on Facebook, I think yesterday, all of these reasons why we're afraid to tell our stories. We're afraid that perhaps our families won't love us anymore. Our friends will judge us, will hurt someone. Our life will change unexpectedly, or we don't want to actually feel our feelings, so we won't say them. We're also afraid that we're more powerful than we imagine. So I really encourage you to reclaim your voice, reclaim your ability to speak, and speak what's authentic and true for you. And when we do this from the heart, then it's it can be received, even though it might be hurtful to someone for a short period of time. Then you can actually have those real conversations that create the deeper friendship, the deeper love, the deeper understanding and knowing of each other that is so valuable, and more deeply valuable than just being nice and being kind. So we also have to be nice and be kind to ourselves. We need to be able to express our authentic selves into the world, and that brings us so much more joy and so much more richness in the long run than holding that back. So I'm just starting to enroll a new round of the Wise Woman Immersion, which is my 7-month group program. And I would love to talk with you about it. We do this voice work. We do this work with self-love, with deeply connecting with nature, and learning a beautiful creative process that we are able to use then for the rest of your lives to access your own inner wisdom and spirit guidance on your terms. Claiming your wisdom, claiming your voice. So I'd love to talk with you about it. I'll put a link to the program page in the comments, and then after you look at it, you can click there to fill out a short questionnaire and book a conversation with me about the program. And I'd like to close today with something from Barbara Marx Hubbard. Barbara Marx Hubbard passed away last week. She was, I believe, 89, almost 90. And she was one of our really wonderful wise elders. She'd been in the transformational space for many, many, many years. And I got to interview her for my Reclaiming the Wise Woman Elder Summit, which went up in the fall of 2017. And she was just a delight to talk with. And she had this idea when she said, I'm not getting older, I'm getting newer. And this was something that she talked about a lot, was becoming a new species, a new human species. She said, I'm holding a vision of us with all our capacities functioning as a planetary whole system, Mother Earth giving birth to a universal species. On this earth, restore the earth, free the people, explore the universe, and the further reaches of the human mind. We're at a tremendous threshold. Who's going to be at this threshold? You have to have some knowledge to be at the threshold. And Barbara was really passionate about this knowledge that especially postmenopausal women hold, that we have this ability to be a real evolutionary expression of the growing edge of our culture in all its forms. Because everything we've learned makes us be these feminine co-creators. We're not dying, we're evolving. And we are probably the newest being that we have, because this woman can be like the new millennials. We can pick up all of that they're doing, but nobody who's a millennial can pick up the inner wisdom of those 50 years, which is huge. So I invite you, many of the women who do the Wise Woman Immersion are elders, but younger women are welcome. And it is our time to claim our wisdom, to claim our place as leaders and mentors for the new humanity and the new earth that we need. And so I invite you to claim your voice, claim your authentic voice, speaking for your authentic self, and take a look at the Wise Women Immersion. I'd love to talk with you. Thanks.